It's the year 2015, and we are as close as we have ever been to ending hunger. Completely, all over the world. And for the coming 15 years, every single day, we will get a bit closer to ending hunger once and for all. And when I say we, I mean me, I mean you. I mean you, or even you back there with the camera. How does this sound? Good, huh? But how can this be possible, you might think? Well, it's because hunger is a problem. And like all problems, it can be solved once it's tackled in a smart way. And the smart way in this sense is not to look at hunger as something bigger than us and out of control. Because after all, you don't solve a problem by telling yourself that there is no solution, do you? So why haven't we ended hunger yet? Well, it's because when we hear the word hunger, we tend to imagine ourselves pictures like this. But I tell you, this is not the right approach. From now on, when you hear the word hunger, I would like you to imagine a picture like this. Like the one of Ravanti Singh, which is the woman on this picture. She and many other brave human beings are each day taking concrete steps to improve the lives of their families and their communities. They're not just talking about ending hunger, they're actually doing it. So let me introduce you for her. Ravanti lives in a poor village in Madhya Pradesh in India. She has only completed secondary education and earns her living as a farmer. India, although regarded as a middle-income country in many aspects, ranks among the lowest 20 on the United Nations Development Programme's Gender Inequality Index. Girl marriages, dowries, domestic violence, sex-selective abortions, and even infanticides are some of the manifestations of gender-based violence taking place. But India also has some good laws protecting women. And one such law is the one that mandates all village councils to consist of 33 to 50% women. And it was because of this law that Ravanti was elected a chairperson in her village 5 years ago. And by that she also became a member in the network for female village leaders that is organized by the Hunger Project India, which is the non-profit organization I'm part of. Our mission is to end hunger and poverty by pioneering sustainable women's centers and grassroots strategies. So why women? Because in many places, I would say most places in the world, women still bear the responsibility when it comes to looking after the family, raising the children, putting food on the table, and caring for the children's health. And yet they are constantly denied the resources and freedom of action to fulfill these duties. And when it comes to hunger, a large percentage of the world's women will only consume one single meal a day. And even this meal, they will give away to the children in order to get them fed. Yet our experience and studies show that when women are supported and empowered, the whole society will benefit from it. More children will go to school, agricultural productivity will improve, and the health of the children will also improve. That's why we target women at the local institutional level, educate them and empower them, giving them the tools to overcome patriarchal structures and superstitious beliefs in their communities. And once empowered, these women have the privilege to make a difference, and they become powerful role models. Let me give you an example of what Ravanti did. When she took office 5 years ago, there was this common belief in her village that if a child showed signs of malnutrition, then you would take that child to the nearest river, undress the child, and wash it carefully. And then, if, despite this treatment, the child became weak or eventually died, well, that was a sign of the evil eye, a spell put on that child by somebody. In other words, impossible to reverse, something meant to happen. Now, Ravanti worked hard to debunk this superstition. And nowadays, almost everybody brings the children to the health clinic instead of giving it a healing bath in the river. And as if this was not all, Ravanti and the other female village leaders, they have succeeded in combating corruption, and they have raised awareness about violence against women, and they have succeeded in banning alcohol shops in the area, since alcohol is closely related to violence. And when I visited the village 6 months ago, Ravanti took me to the school that she and her 2 sons, that you see in the front of the picture, that they initiated. And I was particularly happy to see so many girls enrolled in the class, because in India, like in many places, I would say, girls lag behind boys when it comes to education, especially secondary and higher education. And yet, girls' education plays a significant role when it comes to halt early marriages and early motherhoods. What Ravanti and the other women have achieved demonstrates the strength of collective action and leadership. And when I met Ravanti, she told me, "Sara, you know, I don't feel like a village councillor. I feel like a great leader. I feel like a prime minister." You see, the voice of a single person, especially if that voice belongs to a single woman, is hardly heard. But together with the voices of other women, the voice of the single woman will grow as strong as a lion's roar, and it can make strong and sustainable impact. Or, as Ravanti put it, whatever comes in our way, we will walk over it. So you see, to achieve real and sustainable change, we will have to rethink the whole problem of hunger as something other than static and inevitable. And one way to start is to look at hunger and poverty as the opposite of women's rights. And unless we break the chain and help women to become agents of change, this will go on for generation after generation. And to become change agent, women need to acquire leadership skills and gain access to economic power. For example, our experience is that if you want to set up a sustainable microfinance program, always target the woman. Why? Because if you give the loan to the wife in the family, she's more likely to spend it on income-generating activities for her families, rather than on alcohol and prostitution. And really sustainable change can only take place when the whole society is included. And with that I mean women, men, elders, young youth, even the institution that represents the people. All development has to be locally owned and run by the people and its institutions. You can never force somebody to change, but you can show them a path out of poverty. A path and then they can choose to follow. A path like the one Ravanti carved on 5 years ago, and that her village showed to follow. A path that I've seen many women embarking on, like Nichelle I met in Bangladesh, who now runs a poultry farm after participating in one of our women empowerment workshops, and has also initiated a self-help group among the women in her village. Or like Hulugedir in Ethiopia, a single mother who, after participating in our microfinance program, succeeded to raise her income to that level so she could send her eldest son to the university. Amazing, huh? So, you might not be aware of this, but the world succeeded to halve the extreme poverty 5 years before the deadline of the United Nations Millennium Development Goals of 2015. That means that in 2010, there were 700 million fewer people living in extreme poverty. 700 million, that is like twice the population of the United States. And still, due to war, crisis, natural disasters, conflicts, inequalities, about 1 billion people lives below the extreme poverty line. And when we're talking about the extreme poverty line, we're talking about an income as low as $1.25 a day. That is about 10 Swedish krona, or what you here in the audience or an average Swede would pay for a random chocolate bar or 1 liter of milk here at home. And now, the world will once again join forces and the flag of the Sustainable Development Goals. This time advocating for zero hunger in 2030. And the world leaders actually agree that this can be achieved. But I think that the Sustainable Development Goals will only be successful if it succeeds to include women and girls' rights in the same way that the Millennium Development Goals did. So you see, I'm not saying that ending hunger is an easy task. In fact, it is an immense challenge. But now when we know what a problem looks like, and now when we know that there is a solution, wouldn't it be silly not even to try? At least I think so. So tonight, I want to invite each one of you here in the audience to take on this challenge. You see, you might think that only few of us have the gift to change the world, but I would say this is not true. We can all contribute to make it better. In fact, I think we all have a responsibility to make it better, because that 30-year-old girl that is to be married to a man 20 years older than her, it could be your daughter, or it could have been your sister. If she was born in India, Bangladesh, or in far too many other places. We can all change the world. Whether you are a single mother, a businesswoman, or a philanthropist. You can support or volunteer for an organization working with women's rights or poverty reduction. Or you can bring on the topic, put it on the agenda, discuss it with your colleagues, friends, and family. I think just be creative and you will find that the sky is the limit. And from now on, when you hear the word hunger, I would like you all to think about Ravanti. And like her, I would like you to be reminded of that we can all change our lives in a more sustainable direction. We can all take responsibility for what we care most about. And when we do, we will all have the privilege to feel like prime ministers. Thank you.